Chair Moss.
Thank you, Vice Chair. We will go to action item 11.2. The motion is that the committee approve R277-2726 draft 1 on first reading and I'm sorry, this is the committee. I'm reading the wrong stuff here, sorry. The committee moves that the board approves R277-726 statewide online education program draft 1 on second and final reading, but I understand there will be a substitute motion.
Okay, discussion to the motion. Board Member Norton. You're muted.
Kristen, you're muted.
Board Member Norton, we can't hear you at all.
And if you click that unmute button, you can change all that. Okay, I would like to provide a substitute motion that R277-726 statewide online education program be moved back to committee for further discussion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor that R277-726 be moved back to committee for further discussion. Discussion to the motion. Go ahead,
yes,
Board Member Martin.
I would like to weigh in on this. I've had several conversations with superintendents around the state who are concerned about some of the language in both the original and the substitute motion. And I think until we have an opportunity to hear from them, it is important that we get this right. And we have a program in place for the coming school year. I don't know that this has to be handled and ready to go by July. So I feel that we need to obtain that additional information from those superintendents as a group and then be able to meet and discuss this further.
Thank you, Board Member Earl. I'm sorry. Oh, I think Lear was first and then Earl, if I saw the hands come up right.
Yes, I just wanted to know from either Chair Moss or Member Norton, Vice Chair Norton, what the nature of the concern is. I had some concerns, but I sort of let it go. So I'm curious what the concerns are that you've heard.
The majority of the people that I've heard from, their concerns have to do with the portion in just a second. I'm just getting there right now, about the rural schools and the restricting of funds for rural schools. These rural schools are in great need of having opportunities, and with this SOEP program, and it has been said, well, they can just pay for it. If the money runs out from this grant, they can just pay for it out of their particular budgets, but those margins are so slim for rural schools that no, they can't. They also have some concerns with not just the funding, but more understanding of how their funds are being withdrawn already, but to have it, additional, I just think it needs to be cleaned up a little more for them.
So quick follow-up, Chair Cindy.
Go ahead, please, go ahead.
I just wondered, so this will be discussed in August board meeting, not tomorrow. Is that right?
Yes, that would be my suggestion, yes.
All right, thank you.
So then it wouldn't come back to the full board until September? Okay, Board Member Earl?
Yes, Vice Chair, I'm just wondering if, are these emails that were sent in with concerns? And if so, if there's a way to access that information that Board Member Norton's referring to?
Board Member Norton?
I think, no, they were not emails. I requested information from SEDC and received phone calls back. I received another random phone call yesterday. And in our original committee meeting, it was mentioned that they would take these questions to the superintendents in the Utah Rural Schools Association meeting, which will be in July, and yet here we are presenting it to you for passage. And there's also a superintendent's meeting that's coming up in June, which would be another opportunity to gain that information.
Okay,
them.
I just was wondering what the specific concerns were is all. And if they were in an email, that would be easy to access those and learn about them. So, okay, thank you. That's what I was wondering. If you have specific concerns, I'd love to have access to that. So thank you.
Okay, we can talk.
Okay.
Dr. Thronson and then Board Member Hutchings.
Thank you, Director Thronson of Teaching and Learning. We as staff were charged to come back sooner by that committee. So we were actually asked to try and convene with the superintendents prior to this meeting, which we did. And so their feedback is what you have here. There is not enough money. What we put in for this request and what we were given is insufficient. And so the concerns are real. There is no way around that there is insufficient money for the number of students that might participate. And therefore, the superintendents that participated suggested that we put a base and a plus funding to where everybody knows they're going to get this much, and then based on the number of students they have, there'd be an additional piece above that. We've been running different scenarios, hence why this is pretty vague, to try and figure out what scenario might be best. The way that this is written allows staff to continue to work with the superintendents over the summer to get this worked out and to be able to execute that in time for fall enrollment. If we wait until next August, a couple board meeting months from now, we won't have this passed until September. And at that point, it will be too late for enrollment, and the LEAs might be at much higher risk than us figuring this out. So I would really highly recommend you pass this as is, knowing it is written really vaguely for the purpose of allowing us to continue to work with the superintendents to get this right. But the limited funding is the issue that we will not be able to overcome. But this is where the superintendents, we met with USSA yesterday, discussed this as well. No concerns were raised. So at this point, we would really suggest to staff to move forward. Otherwise, our LEAs won't even be able to engage in this project in the fall because they won't know what funding source they're getting.
Thank you, Board Member Hutchings.
Yeah, and that was actually what I was going to ask Director Thornton to weigh in on. I believe we're better off if we go ahead and pass this out and allow this program to get started. I think more students and schools will benefit if we allow them to get started at the beginning of this school year. And if we put it off, it will effectively put it off for a whole school year. And it will make it so that schools and students won't be able to access some of these programs, specifically the concurrent enrollment opportunities. This school year, it'll be delayed, not just by a month or two, but most likely for the full school year. So I would vote against this.
Thank you, Chair Moss.
I was just going to throw out a suggestion, but I should defer to Vice Chair Norton. I just wondered whether there's another opportunity to come together for an emergency finance committee if we need further discussion, still get on the board agenda for August if we took this up. But I don't know if Chair Norton or Vice Chair Norton's concerns have been addressed, so I should wait to hear from her.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belknap.
I guess I'm trying to figure out why this isn't going to move ahead anyway. Money has been allocated. They already know that they can sign up for these courses. And so I don't really understand the rush to do this wrong. The schools can already sign up and the allocation of the funds can go in the first semester, because I don't believe our rural schools are going to run out of funding in the first semester. It's going to come in the second semester.
Thank you, Vice Chair Norton.
Well, and in line 160 on the original draft, and it's probably still the same, it says that the student shall enroll in online courses or declare an intention to enroll during the school course registration period designated by the primary LEA of enrollment for regular course registration. Now, what I am most familiar with is usually those students have done all of their enrolling in next year's courses in the spring of, the prior year. So as Vice Chair Belknap just said, they probably have already enrolled. We're not going to stop them from enrolling.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Thronson.
Yeah, that is not the impression of the superintendents. Many of them, because this passed so late, it was past registration windows. So they're actually having to kind of execute this differently. And yes, there'd be funds available no matter how many kids enrolled, but that would start tapping into the not the small schools amount. And that is where these LEAs historically have not participated, because that funding doesn't allow them to keep their FTE that they need in their LEAs. This is a pretty significant issue. And if, again, as a board, if you choose not to make a motion, and we do need draft 2 to move forward, not draft 1, as it has more of this flexible language in it that the superintendents suggested, it still allows us flexibility to work on the formula, but the money can go out. Otherwise, the money will not go out until after the school year has started. Some of these LEAs are going to get 4 kids that we are going to be able to pay for. And they might be enrolling 20 or 100, and that they need to know up front what money they're being allocated from this product in order for them to make decisions around their FTE and their student opportunities.
Thank you, Vice Chair Belknap. Vice Chair Belknap.
Put my hand down.
Okay, Board Member Hutchings.
Sorry, just a point of clarification, and I probably just missed something. The draft 2, there's a draft 2 that Dr. Thronson's starting or is talking about. Okay, and that's different than, that's not the motion that's on the in front of the board right now. Okay, is that correct? Because I see there's a draft 1 on the motion language, but she's talking about a draft 2. Could you just clarify that for me really quick so I make sure I vote on the right thing?
Vice Chair Davis, may I respond?
Yes.
Yes, that is correct. So right now, what's on the table is draft 1. We actually need draft 2 to be proposed as the one, as that was what we iterated on based on Finance Committee's feedback. Go talk to the superintendents. We went and talked to the superintendents, and this is where they led us.
Okay, thank you. Chair Moss.
Thank you. And our draft 2 just came in, I think, yesterday. So we've sort of been addressing it and seeing whether there would be a substitute motion to adopt draft 2. Vice Chair Norton felt there was need for more discussion. I'm just kind of looking for direction from Vice Chair Norton if we keep the motion on, or does this address some concerns? I'm sorry, Chair, I'm playing the chair role and directing questions. I'm just sort of trying to, if I could direct that to Vice Chair Norton, I'm just sort of, this is developing just kind of the last day or two.
Vice Chair Norton, does draft 2 address your concerns?
No, it does not.
Okay, Board Member Hutchings.
Would it be in order for me to make a substitute motion?
I believe so.
Okay, then I move that the board approves R277726 statewide online education program draft 2 on second and final reading.
Okay, there's a motion, a substitute motion on the floor that the board approves R277-726 statewide online education program draft 2 on second and final reading. Discussion to the motion.
Need a second.
I need a second.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Board Member Earl. Board Member Hutchings.
Yeah, I just want to, just with that clarity, it's when we had a really good discussion about this in committee meeting, and there were some things we asked Director Thornson to go and do to help us be more comfortable with this. It sounds like she did that, and the superintendents have come up with something that they are comfortable with, and that is in draft 2. I think it's important that we move it forward so that all students and schools can access this program and funding.
Thank you, Board Member Earl.
I don't see any reason why this couldn't be addressed down the road. Additional issues as they come forward. It sounds like it's key that this is in place for school. Anyways, and so I think that the right thing to do right now is to be moving forward with this so that it doesn't create confusion for our districts moving into the fall. And then as we need to address, it sounds like there may be some additional concerns. Those could be addressed. If we need to pull the rule back in the fall and continue work, that would be appropriate.
Thank you, Board Member Straight.
I think we've already announced that we're having a special board meeting on the 30th. Is that still the case?
Yes.
Okay, so could we have that resolved by then? For everyone, because I'm not sure where I'm at. I'm listening and I'm trying, and I don't know.
Are you making a motion, Board Member Straight?
I think it's a question to staff. Will there be any
Yeah.
clarity, any additional clarity to this? Will there be any other meetings or anything between now and the 30th? I think this is what Member Straight's asking. Sorry, I got in there. I'll be quiet. I should be
Oh,
back.
thank you.
It's all right. We'll hear from Dr. Thronson and then Chair Moss.
Yes, I am scheduled to meet with them up at USSA, their retreat in June. So if you would like to have it come back at the end of June, that would work in terms of giving a little more time to get more feedback, but also allow us to get things out the door in the fall so people know what they're working with, which would be optimal. So it'd be a good middle ground for sure.
Chair Moss?
Well, I would support the suggestion of a motion from Member Straight. I don't know procedurally, I guess at this point we have on the table a motion to approve draft 2. If I could amend that to.
Can you make a motion to postpone?
Right. I'd move to postpone till the June 30th meeting for consideration after further discussion.
We have a motion on the floor to postpone R277-726 to the June 30th meeting.
Second it, Booth.
And with a second from Board Member Booth. Seeing no other hands, unless Board Member Straight and Moss have additional comments, please vote. This looks unanimous. Thank you. Chair Moss?
All right. We only have a couple items, so I think we'll be quick from here. Action item 11.3, school building revolving loan review and approval recommendation. And the motion is that the board approves the school building revolving loan application, which is from Duchesne School District.
There's a motion on the floor that the board approves the school building revolving loan application. Seeing no hands, please vote. This passes unanimously. Chair Moss?
Thank you. Action item 11.4 is the fiscal year. Here we go, 2024. Let's see, where are we here?
Member Moss, I don't think there's an action item for 12.4.
No.
Oh, okay. It was noted as action, but all right, down to 11.7. Use of public education stabilization account, one-time funding. Motion for the board is that the committee moves that the board approve R277-125, use of public education stabilization account, one-time funding, draft 2 on second and final reading.
Thank you. Discussion to the motion? Seeing no hands, there is a motion on the floor that the committee moves that the board approve R277-125, use of public education stabilization account, one-time funding, draft 2 on second and final reading. Please vote. This passes unanimously.
That concludes our report. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.